Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where I will remind you I still think Bitcoin is asininely stupid. Asininely stupid. But apparently there are a lot of people out there that think there's some value in whatever these things. And so if enough people out there think there is value in a thing, then that thing has value. And then if that thing has value, shouldn't you then be able to use it to back a loan in order to buy a house? So yeah, something gets to like stupid inception. It gets so stupid. At some point it loops back around to actually being a sane concept, I guess. So this is going to be a boon for the crypto folks. One of the big things in the crypto world for these cryptocurrencies is basically the idea that a lot of organizations, a lot of the fundamental building block organizations in the financial world do not see cryptocurrencies as kind of like a real thing, right? When you look at assets, so a house is a real thing. Stocks and bonds are real things, right? That type of stuff is a real financial asset. And then cryptocurrency is stupid. Stupid would be the word. So anyways, a lot of times, like if you needed a loan or something like that, that you could not use the cryptocurrency as a way to back the loan. And so what's interesting now, it might be a boon to the crypto world, is it appears Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac ordered to consider crypto as an asset when buying mortgages. So basically, somebody goes to get a mortgage on a house, they look at your credit worthiness, right? Again, how many assets you have. And so it looks like cryptocurrency is now going to be one of those assets that they can look at to determine whether or not you can basically get a loan to buy a house. Head of the federal government agency that oversees Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wants the mortgage giants to consider accepting a home buyer's cryptocurrency holdings in their criteria for buying mortgages from banks. William Poult, director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which oversees Fannie and Freddie, ordered the agencies Wednesday to prepare a proposal for consideration of crypto as an asset for reserves when they assess risks in single-family home loans. Poult also instructed the agencies that their mortgage risk assessments should not require cryptocurrency assets to be converted to US dollars. So I guess that was one of the things that was done before, is you might have cryptocurrency assets, but then to actually use that as a way to like back the loan, you would have to turn it into US dollars. So this is saying you can just leave it as a cryptocurrency asset. And only crypto assets that, quote, can be evidenced and stored on a US regulated centralized exchange subject to all applicable laws are to be considered by the agencies in their proposal. And so this is another interesting thing to be thinking about. When you think about things like cryptocurrencies that are in a gray, let's call it a gray area in the legal world. One of the things to be looking at here is to see how regulations are put into place and then make sure whatever you're trying to accomplish lines up with those regulations so that your Bitcoins then have to be stored in a US regulated centralized exchange. So I'm guessing this would be companies like Coinbase. And so if you're buying stocks and that type of thing, this might be a good time to buy stock in Coinbase. I am not a stock picker or anything like that. Because basically what you're saying now is these assets can be used in order to be able to get a home loan, but they can only be used if they are stored in a specific type of location. Poult was sworn in as the head of FHFA in March. Public records show that as of January 2025, Poult's spouse owned between 500,000 and 1 million of Bitcoin and a similar amount of Solana's Sol token. Banks seeking to make mortgages that qualify for purchase by Fannie and Freddie Mac have not typically considered a borrower's crypto holdings until they were sold or converted to dollars. Quote, this is a big win for advocates of cryptocurrencies who want crypto to be treated the same way as other assets. Currently, stock investments are treated as qualifying assets that count toward reserves that banks want borrowers to have, but assets that are more volatile, like individual stocks or crypto, may be discounted by lenders. Quote, as long as lenders are appropriately discounting crypto based on volatility, it's fine that crypto investments count toward the reserves. The policy change is meant to encourage banks to expand how they gauge borrowers' creditworthiness in hopes that more aspiring home buyers can qualify for a home loan. So there you go. If you have not bought stocks and bonds, you've put all of your money directly into Bitcoin or whatever, now you can use that as backing to be able to get a loan in order to buy a house. So yeah, I mean, I think this is the curious kind of thing that pushes things like cryptocurrency more into the mainstream. I don't think cryptocurrency is actually going to get there. I still think cryptocurrency is asininely stupid, to be honest with you, if you missed that. But anyways, like one of the big things to be thinking about with any of this kind of technology is how the rest of the world starts using it, and then does that bring more and more people on board, right? The more people that come into a market to start using a product or service, that then has more vendors trying to sell for that product or service, that then creates more value, that brings more people in, the whole 9 yards. I think about that with like some of these online payment things. Like here in Asheville, people really like their online payments. So my electrician, right? You deal with a contractor, they really want that things. And so there's one of these online payment things I had zero interest in using. I'm not anti-online or whatever digital payments. I'm not anti-digital payments, but whatever this was, it was like another digital payment that I had zero interest in using. The thing was, that was basically all my electrician would take. He was like, I don't take checks. This is how you pay me. And I'm like, I don't want to pay you that way. He's like, well, I need to get paid, so this is how you pay me. Kind of went around like that. I ended up using the service, right? And as I've been here in Asheville, I found a lot of the contractors and stuff use the service. And so that's the kind of thing of like how it gets to be more popular. Like as there's less friction, as they say in the business world. So one of the things you might be thinking about, right? If you're a middle-aged person, right? If you're a middle-aged person and you're thinking about getting a house, you're thinking about loans and that type of thing, you really do have to ask yourself, can the investment asset that you're about to purchase, can that be used as backing for something like a loan, right? So if I'm sitting there and I've got $100,000, got $100,000 cash, and I can either put that into crypto or I can put that into an S&P 500 index fund. Anyway, one of the questions you have to ask is like, okay, well, if I put this into crypto, maybe it goes up or whatever else. But if I go to buy a house, right? If I'm a hodl, is that what they call it? Hold on till death or whatever. If I'm diamond hands, if I'm diamond hands, right? I'm gonna get Bitcoin. I'm just gonna hold on until I die. Well, here's the thing: if you're diamond hands on an S&P 500 index fund, and that can be used as backing for a loan, then you're pretty fine. Right? So you put $100,000 in the S&P 500 index fund. You then go out to get a home loan. They use that as an asset as far as getting your loan is concerned, and you're fine. And the issue is you put $100,000 into Bitcoin, and you don't want to let it go. You believe in it. Eli's an idiot. Eli doesn't understand. I agree. Anyways, you're going to hold on to this thing forever. But one of the issues you run into, that's $100,000 in assets. You go to buy a house, and then the bank is like, well, you don't have any qualifying assets to back this loan, therefore we can't give you the loan. Right? That's a real thing that you have to think about as an actual adult, right? And that's one of the things that pushes people into things like the stock and bond market. So to be curious here, does this have much of a real world effect on where people are deciding to invest their money and be able to live a relatively normal life? I don't know. Do you think this pushes the ball forward? Do you think this normalizes the idiocy of Bitcoin? Probably does. And who will be the winners? The other thing to be thinking about too here is this whole thing of having to be on evidenced and stored on a U.S. regulated centralized exchange subject to all applicable laws. So U.S. regulated centralized exchange. And Do you think it's kind of amusing that this is basically de-anonymizing the whole mess, right? Isn't that one of the things with Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrencies? It's a way to do anonymous transactions. Yeah, that's adorable. Oh, do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Anyways, in order to do this, basically you have to de-anonymize yourself if you still believe you're anonymous anyway. So anyways, what do you think about Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac now being able to use cryptocurrency assets? Oh, possibly. They're looking into it. Cryptocurrency assets as a way to back loans. Do you think this is a good thing? Are you a cryptocurrency fan and you think this is pushing us into the future? Or do you think cryptocurrency is completely and utterly stupid and this is just another, way our entire society is going to fall in on itself? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Remember, doesn't matter if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down, a good comment or a horrible comment. It is all an interaction in this modern world of social media. Put your thoughts down below. And with that, see y'all later.